Do 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 do. Josh's Order Corner. That's me.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm basically jumping for joy. I get to meet Joe Hill today. I get to meet Joe Hill today. I'm so excited. So, if you've seen my past videos, you know I'm a huge Stephen King fan. You know I'm a huge book reader. And Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, has a new book coming out. Actually, it's already out. It came out yesterday, October 22nd, I believe. Maybe the 21st. Whatever. The book is out. It is called King's Sorrow. I haven't received my copy yet. It's in the mail. It should be here today. But he's doing a little book tour to read an excerpt from the book, answer questions, sign some things. So, I don't know how many things he's going to be willing to sign. I don't want to overdo it. I feel like I already am. I'm taking 3 things. I do feel like that's too much, but whatever. I want him to sign my Creepshow poster. It's already signed by Tom Atkins. It's signed by Tom Savini, and it's signed by Adrienne Barbeau. Tom Atkins signed it. I slapped Joe Hill, and I have a quote from the movie picked out for Joe Hill to sign. If you don't know, he was the little boy in the movie. Tom Atkins played Stan, his father. And then he also wrote the original short story, The Black Phone, that was turned into the movie. So I want him to sign my Black Phone piece that's signed by the actor who played Finney, the actor who played Gwen, Jeremy Davies, who played their dad, and Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, I do know their names, and Ethan Hawke. But I want to add Joe Hill to it too. And I'm taking an advanced reader's copy of Horns. Again, I feel like that's being a little greedy. So I'm going to play it by ear and see how it goes. But I get to meet Joe Hill. I get to meet Joe Hill. So if you like my videos where I kind of document the little adventure that goes into a convention or an appearance or whatever, this one's for you. I hope you appreciate these because I always feel weird about them, to be honest with you. But I like sharing these journeys. Yeah. Check out Johnny Horror. That's one reason I feel awkward about these is like he's the king of the convention video. And I always feel like I'm kind of not copying necessarily, but doing something similar to what he does. And it's a big world. Creators are going to create. But please check out Johnny Horror's channel. I'll put a link down below. Johnny, please check and make sure I didn't forget. But check out his channel. He's a great dude. And I want you to see more videos where people are going into events and checking them out. All right. I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to hit the road. I'm going to head to Pittsburgh to meet Joe Hill. Update. It's here. All the way from New Hampshire and then to Massachusetts and then to Des Moines and then to Cleveland. It is here from Water Street Books where I pre-ordered 20th Century Ghost and I pre-ordered this one. This is a heavy box. Oh. King Sorrow by Joe Hill. On the back, you have some advanced praise from Paul Tremblay. Let's see, Keith Rawson. I just read one of his books and it was phenomenal. Michael Cortia. Let's see, Tanner Dew. Some big heavy hitters. Oh my gosh! In horror, this is a book. And the cool thing here is, he had you could ask for an inscription, and I just put like just write whatever you're feeling, and you can only imagine how many of these he had to sign. So I will say I got a simple inscription that says to Josh best, and the drawing of the dragon right there, and signed by Joe Hill himself. Very, very, very excited. This is obviously going to be a first edition. Look at the detail here on the inside. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to take this with me. It's already signed. If anybody gives me crap about like getting things aside from this signed, I will show them my invoice. I got it. It's signed. It is a monster of a book. It's clocking in at, what do we got here? Why do these, there's something else in here. It's clocking in at 881 pages, including the acknowledgments. The first draft of this book was completed in 2022. and now it is finally here. Arthur Oakes is a reader, a dreamer, and a student of Rackham College, Maine, renowned for its frosty winters, exceptional library, and beautiful buildings. But his ideal of the burgeoning romance with Gwen Underfoot is shattered when a local drug dealer and his partner corner him into one of the worst crimes he can imagine, stealing rare books from the college library. Trapped and desperate, Arthur turns to his closest friends for comfort and help. Together they dream up a wild, fantastical scheme to free Arthur from the cruel trap in which he finds himself. Wealthy, irrepressible Colin Wren suggests using the unnerving Enoch Crane journal bound in the skin of its author to summon a dragon to do their bidding. The others, brave, beautiful Allison Shiner, the battling twins Donna and Donovan McBride, and brainy bold Gwen, don't hesitate to join Colin in an effort to smash reality and bring a creature of the impossible world into our world. But there's nothing simple about dealing with dragons, and their pact to save Arthur becomes a terrifying bargain in which the six must choose a new sacrifice for King Sorrow every year, or become his next meal. I'm stoked. This is going to be a very interesting read. I feel like this is a little bit of a step away from what we got with The Fireman. The Fireman was not as fantasy as this may pull us into, but I can't wait. I can't wait. All right, now it's time to hit the road. I'll update you from there. This video is simply to prove that I don't always drive in the left-hand lane. I prefer to, but I realize that's frowned upon, and people don't like when people just live in that lane. I'm really guilty of doing that a lot of the times. We are inbound to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's just a couple-hour drive, but yeah, throw on some good tunes. Think about the fact that I forgot my book. Not the new Joe Hill book, but the book I've been reading, Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. I wanted to have that with me so I could read it while I'm waiting in line to get into the event. But I do have a book that an independent author sent me to review. So I'm going to bust that out on my phone and read through that as much as I can while I wait to get into the event. Okay, love you, bye.
Welcome to Pennsylvania.
There you have it, folks. We have been welcomed by the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. Let's go. Jason Voorhees attacks Camp Horny Road in Friday the 14th. So, of course, I got here stupid early, because that's just what I do. But I found a bookstore to check out. Big shout out to Caliban Books in Pittsburgh. It's right by the museum, right by the venue that I was at. Caliban Books is where I found myself spending a little bit of time before the event. I made it to their basement where a lot of their paperbacks are. It's really crammed in there. It was kind of hard to navigate, but I found this, The Bank by Bentley Little. If I see CD on the side of a book, I'm probably going to be interested in bringing it home with me. But Bentley Little is one of my favorites. You've heard me talk about Bentley Little before, and this sounded like a great one, so I could not leave without it. I also grabbed this. Now, this is a name that I recognize, but I can't remember why. This is Robert McCammon, and I'm pretty sure that an email I got today, actually, from Cemetery Dance referenced Robert McCammon. But this is They Thirst. This was done through Dark Harvest, and it sounds like it's a vampire story. And it was only $10, so thanks, Caliban Books. And across the street was a comic book shop, so I went there too. And Jeff Whitehead and Ryan Carr were there signing copies of The Amusement Park. So that was an unexpected surprise. I was able to snag a copy of that signed by them. They've done some work on Creepshow as well. I believe it was Jeff is head of the George Romero Foundation. So just a neat little extra adventure. And that was at Phantom of the Attic Comics right here in Pittsburgh. I almost fell. I even made it on their socials. Check out Phantom of the Attic Comics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So you may have heard me talk about graphic novels before and how I'm not a big fan of them. I have a hard time following the story and the pictures and everything. Like, my mind just doesn't work that way. I love the art to them. I think it's really talented. There's a lot of skill that goes into it, but I find it so hard to navigate a graphic novel. This was a great story, and I really want to watch the movie now. I've avoided watching it because honestly, of all the fears I have, the fear of getting old is a big one. And that's kind of what this movie is about is, well, George A. Romero was asked to write a warning, if you will, like a public service announcement about treating elderly with respect. It was a public service announcement about elder abuse. And this is what it turned into. I mean, you ask George A. Romero to write something, you're gonna get something with a spin on it, spin of creepy. It's a great story, and it reminds you that you're gonna be that old person someday. You're gonna be elderly, you're gonna need help. I really wanna, like I said, watch the movie and compare the two, but I'm waiting for the event to start. I was able to breeze through it, and it really was a great, great story. So, make sure you look up, it was Jeff Whitehead, I believe. And this was published by Storm King, which is John Carpenter. He runs Storm King. But let's see here. Jeff Whitehead and Ryan Carr. Ryan was the artist, Jeff was the writer. They picked up the pieces that they found in storage and filled in some blanks because it wasn't the full, complete story, and this is what they came up with. It's excellent. There's an introduction from Greg Nicotero, which is always nice. And now I only have an hour-ish until doors open.
Now, where I was sitting was not far from the entrance to the event. So with about an hour left to wait, I went over there so I could be first in line. I sat down. It wasn't long before others joined. There was a gentleman who came up behind me and asked if that was the place to be. And I told him, heck yeah, dude. And he was such a cool dude. He ended up hanging out for the evening. We sat next to each other at the event. And he took a picture of me meeting Joe Hill. We exchanged information so he could send it to me. I'm terrible at social interactions. I'm terrible at meeting new people. So I wish I would have been more social with him. If you see this, thank you so much for being awesome. I'm sorry. I hope we cross paths again someday. Susie Snowflake was also there. I've worked with her at past conventions. She was helping out at Erie Culture Fest, Ohio TerraCon. She also helped out at an event I had no part of, which was Cinema Wasteland. She represents the cast of the original Toxic Avenger movie. So she is able to get them into your events. If you want to look up her, or if you want to look her up on Instagram, Susie Snowflake, LLC. Her husband was also there. So it was great to see Patrick again as well. And then we just lined up. It was kind of a chaotic line. I was sitting at the top of the steps. A family came up and sat at the top of the steps opposite me. We eyed each other down to see who was going to be allowed in first. And then when doors opened, they were kind enough to say, well, he was here first. So they let me go. Thank you. You could buy a book with your ticket. I did not do that because I had already ordered the book and I knew that was coming to me. You saw that in the beginning of the video here. So I just got to mosey on in and find a seat. And there was the front row and then there was the second row. I took the second row because front row looked like it was more for like handicap seating and things like that. And I didn't want to be a jerk. So I took the second row and I had the best seat in the house. I was so happy. I'll show some video here so you can see what it was all about. And then I'm so glad with how I arranged my arrival and all of that. And even though I got there really early, I got to explore a little bit. And it made for such a great, great evening. And I got to meet Joe freaking Hill. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Check it out.
Through the old fabric, and his face is half buried in his bloodstained pillow. He gets nosebleeds after too much coke and uses the pillowcase to wipe. She wants to club him one, wake him up, but he usually hits back, and she's not in the mood for a punch-up tonight. The TV is running. That's what's casting the spectral blue light glimmering in the hallway. She can hear Sports Center. Then there's a snapping sound.
That was incredible. That was such a good time. He's so funny. I didn't expect him to be that funny. And he's kind. He was very nice. Anybody who asked a question, unfortunately I didn't get to ask a question, he greeted them. He asked them a question first. He signed all 3 of the pieces, so I'll show you those. And I got a picture taken with him. Unfortunately, it was definitely not like a professional photo opportunity. The handler guy was taking the pictures and needed to make sure that they had their picture in the background, and so it is not a good picture, and I will probably never share it with anybody ever. Very, very embarrassed by the picture. But you'll have that, I guess. Overall, aside from that, obviously the event was fantastic. I'm very, 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 very happy. And now I get to drive home so I can get up and go to work in the morning in my basement. Kind of going in reverse order here. This was the last piece he signed. This is a Levidian Press proof copy of Horns. Joe hadn't seen one of these before. He was very impressed by it. He thought it was super cool. And man, he slapped his signature in there. It looks awesome. This wasn't a convention. This was not an event where people were bringing stuff like this to get signed. So I didn't even know if he would sign it. Joe is also not used to that kind of direction when it comes to signing. He's used to, oh, a blank page, that's where I'll sign. So before I could say, no, please wait, here's a silver Sharpie, he'd already started signing on this Creepshow piece, but I'm still very, very happy how it turned out. He wrote, ready for another shot, which is the perfect response to Tom Atkins writing, I slapped Joe Hill. And this is the first piece I asked him to sign. I set it down and I was starting to say silver Sharpie under the chin, and he was already going for it. So he signed right above Finney over here. And as I started like, oh, I was hoping, he got so apologetic. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you would have a certain spot. He was, and then he looked at the piece and was like, oh my gosh, like you have the cast on here and you added me to, like, he was very like gracious and surprised and stoked on that piece. And I am too. It's not where I wanted it, but I still love the placement of his signature. And I might be able to add one more person to balance it out on the opposite side. All in all, this was a fantastic event. Pittsburgh Arts and Lectures does an amazing job with these events, and they have more coming. So please check them out. I'll put a link for them down in the description below. I can't begin to explain to you how much this trip meant to me. Getting to meet Joe Hill, getting to hear his stories, getting to hear him talk about his family and growing up and how important reading was to him and how important the library is. If you ever have an opportunity to go to one of these types of events, please, please do. Check out your local bookstores. Go to your library. Know about all the bookstores. And go pick up King Sorrow right now from your local bookstore. Shop independent. If you can't find it there, sure, Barnes & Noble. But I know that some signed copies were sent out to a lot of independent bookstores, and that's how you can load up on your very own signed copy of Joe Hill, King Sorrow. Thanks for checking out my video. I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, be good to each other. Do 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 do